A dying 5-year-old made me promise to stop lying to his mom. That promise completely changed how I do my job. I've been a paramedic for 7 years when I got the call. 5-year-old in respiratory distress on Pine Street. I walked in expecting maybe asthma or pneumonia. Instead, I found Liam sitting on his mom's lap, wearing this ridiculous superhero cape made from a Pokemon bedsheet. Kid was pale as paper and struggling to breathe, but he looked me dead in the eye and asked, "Are you here to save me again?" Again. His mom, Rebecca, was crying so hard she could barely speak. She finally managed to say that Liam had been in remission for 8 months after beating leukemia. This was supposed to be over. In the ambulance, most kids would be screaming or unconscious. Not Liam. He grabbed my sleeve with his tiny hand and whispered, "Can you keep a secret?" I leaned down and said, "Sure, buddy." He said, "I think I'm going to die tonight, but don't tell my mom, okay? She already cries too much." My throat went tight. I'd heard dying kids say scary stuff before, but something about how calm he was freaked me out. I told him he wasn't going to die, that we were taking good care of him. He shook his head like I was the dumbest adult he'd ever met. Said, "You're lying. Grown-ups lie all the time to make kids feel better. My mom told me chemo wouldn't hurt, but it hurt really bad." Then he said something that changed everything. He took this rattling breath and said, "I lied to my mom last night. She asked if I felt okay, and I said yes, so she could sleep, but I felt really bad. So promise me something. Don't lie to my mom just because it makes her feel better. Tell her the truth even if it hurts. She needs to know real stuff, not pretend stuff." I stared at this kid who was maybe 40 pounds soaking wet, giving me life advice while his oxygen levels were dropping. I promised him, okay. We got to the hospital, and they rushed him into ICU. His mom grabbed my arm in the hallway, mascara running down her face, asking, "Is he going to be okay? Please tell me he's okay." I thought about what Liam said, about all the times I'd given families false hope because the truth was too brutal. I told Rebecca he's really sick. The doctors are doing everything they can, but I can't promise he'll be okay. What I can promise is they're the best team we have, and they won't give up on him. She nodded, wiping her nose, and said, "Thank you for not lying to me." Liam pulled through that night. Barely. When I visited the next day, he was awake eating applesauce. He asked if I told his mom the truth. I said yes. He grinned this gap-toothed smile that about broke my heart. Said, "That's way better." I drove home and sat in my driveway for an hour thinking about every lie I'd told in my career. The families I'd given false hope to avoid difficult conversations. The patients I told everything was fine when it wasn't. Next morning, I walked into my supervisor's office and requested a transfer to pediatric emergency transport. He said, "You sure? Kids are harder than adults." I said, "That's exactly why I need to do it." I spent the next 6 months learning how to talk to kids without talking down to them. How to be honest about scary things without being cruel. 2 years later, I got called to another house. 7-year-old with a brain tumor. His dad asked, "Is my son going to die?" Olmi would have said something vague. Instead, I said, "Sir, your son is very sick and this is serious, but he's still fighting and that matters. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I can tell you we're not giving up." He broke down crying but shook my hand and said, "Thank you for being straight with me." That kid made it through surgery, but even if he hadn't, his dad would have known the truth.